What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name is Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs show. Hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. Now, the Toronto Raptors have one of the more interesting off seasons, I think, in the entire NBA, highlighted, of course, with the potential departure of Kyle Lowry, and then the questions surrounding really which players the Raptors on their roster right now could you build around in the near future. But although that the Raptors offseason hasn't officially begun, there's rumors for both the trade market and free agency market that have been circulating around the news regarding Toronto. So today we're going to be breaking down some of the more major ones and either agreeing with or disagreeing with three of the more popular rumors that I've heard. So first up is the Raptors have interest and will go out and get Dennis Schroder. Now, to nobody's surprise, as I sort of already mentioned before, the Raptors' largest rumor is surrounding the potential departure of Kyle Lowry. But with that, again, there's been a lot of talk about potential guys who could fill in that void of the starting point guard for the Raptors. Now, obviously, some of the potential fixes, come from internal guys that the Raptors already have: Fred VanVleet, Malachi Flynn. But I think Dennis Schroder, at least in the free agency market and external fixes, has definitely been the sort of guy that everybody has pointed at so far. And I really think this move does make sense. Last year, averaged 15.4 points per game, 5.8 assists, 3.5 boards, and 61 starts for the Lakers. And he's coming off a year 2 years ago in which he finished second in Sixth Man of the Year voting. So would Dennis Schroder actually be a fit for the Raptors? Scoring-wise, Dennis Schroder did take a bit of a back step last year. A bit of a decline, yes, but he did shoot fairly efficiently, and he did it as the third option. So you're looking at 15.5 points, but again, Braun and AD, the 1 and 2 options, obviously on the Lakers. But I think he did a really solid job of not only fitting into that system, but being able to step up. And the Lakers had a ton of issues last year with injuries and just a whole bunch, and I think given the situation, Schroder actually did a fairly decent job. And he would be able to provide the Raptors with a lot of production in terms of his defense. He's pretty solid defensively. And his passing ability, which I think is something that's super important for the Raptors. Be able to get your OGs, your Siakams involved. And I think there's a lot of ways that Dennis Schroder can impact a game that helps the Raptors when they're sort of trying to find an identity, which I think they're going to have to next year, even if he doesn't score the basketball. Even if Lowry does return, I still like the Raptors taking a look at Dennis Schroder and potentially being able to play off the bench. I've spoken about the Raptors bench and the age of some of their depth players that they had last year, and I know, again, injuries, so the whole rotation was sort of screwed up. But the Raptors bench is very young. So with that being said, you get a player who's proven as a bench player, again finishing second in Sixth Man of the Year only 2 years ago. And you're adding a bit of a veteran presence off the bench, which I don't think could be a bad thing at all for the Raptors. Again, I think that there's a surplus of guards in the free agency market on top of Dennis Schroder. You're looking at guys like Dinwiddie. I know he's coming off an injury, but Graham, whole bunch of other guys available on the free agency market. So that's got to make you assume that potentially the Raptors have potential to get a multi-year deal here with some value. So I think it's definitely worth looking into for sure. Second, we have a Kyle Lowry sign and trade scenario. Now, we sort of already spoke about this in the first point, but again, the Raptors definitely have a big decision to make with Lowry in the offseason, whether they go out and add another point guard or not. Now, the Raptors do have a lot of guards already in their system, but with that being said, it is going to be a big change because Lowry has been with the organization for so long. With that being said, the Raptors could use this situation to sort of, I think, fix one of their issues. We'll talk about it in just a second at their center issue, but you got teams like the Lakers, who I think will definitely be in for Kyle Lowry. We're in for Lowry at the trade deadline. But now with Schroder leaving, they definitely needed a good veteran point guard, and I think Lowry could be that guy for them. A team like the 76ers, all messed up. You're coming off a year where Joel Embiid was fantastic, but a lot of questions around Ben Simmons, so maybe you add some guard depth there. Another interesting one that I haven't heard too much being discussed around is one with the Mavericks, who are definitely going to be on the hot seat to make a move in this offseason. Their coach already resigned. You've had some changes in the front office, and Porzingis is not very happy there. So to be honest, I think that you need to add a lot more around Luka Doncic. I think guard play is something that the Mavericks really, really could improve. You don't want to waste those years with Luka, so I think this is something that, the Mavericks might take a stab at. And then the return package, I think, would be really interesting. And I think, again, this is a quality attempt to go out and get your center. I've spoken about it in past videos. I think the Raptors are better off with Khem Birch, Chris Boucher, even though they had solid years last year. I think on a real contending team, given where the East is at right now, that you probably want them coming off your bench and adding depth at the 4-5 position. So really you're attacking this situation in 3 different ways. You could either do it in the draft, but again, as long as if you're not picking top 4, you're either waiting for Kai Jones, but even him, I don't know if he's really going to fix the Raptors' needs. And then free agency, but other than Olynyk and Noel, there's not too many options. So that third option in the trade scenario, potential trade package back for Kyle Lowry, I think could actually be the best route for the Raptors to be able to fill this center void. The last one is an interesting one. Is there any availability for Pascal Siakam? And you know what? Throughout the beginning of the offseason, I have heard Siakam's name quite a bit, not in terms of the Raptors making him necessarily available, but I know that he's definitely a trade target for a lot of other teams that are sort of moving into a playoff direction. Nuggets, Bulls, Warriors, even Sacramento I've seen in there as well. And, you know, rightfully so, people are questioning Siakam's ability to be a number 1 for the Raptors and also his durability coming off another injury. And I think he's even going to miss part of the season or the start of the season. And again, I think these questions are definitely valid. Siakam being a number 1 is a question that I've had for years now. And, you know, he was the number 2 option when the Raptors won the championship. I do think they need that other piece, and I think they need both Siakam and OG Anunoby to be able to take another step forward. But personally, from all the mock trade scenarios, I just don't see any team that can give the Raptors a package that really helps them move in the direction that they want to, because realistically, you would need some good young talent, and I don't think anybody can do that, because a contending team who has the players that you probably want, they're not going to be trading their good young players that are helping them win now. And you know, a team like the Bulls, I don't know if they could give enough in a return package. Siakam still had a lot of production, though, for the Raptors last year. 21.4 points per game, 7.2 boards, 4.5 assists, and I still think he is one of the better scoring big men in the league. But again, I still don't think a trade works for the Raptors positionally. And I think it's just banking now on Siakam being able to take that next step forward in order for the Raptors to really be able to contend for the Eastern Conference. Because again, going back to the trade scenarios, you know, I've seen ones with Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, and that's a perfect example of what I mean by no trade here really works for the Raptors positionally, because you already got a surplus of guards, and you know, if you're getting a guy like Marvin Bagley, you're already decreasing a very weak 4-5 sort of position for the Raptors. So yeah, in short, I don't think this makes any sense. I think Siakam has to start for the Raptors next year, unless, you know, somehow you're blown away in a trade. So this is the one I'm going to disagree with. But anyways, guys, if you did make it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, comments on everything that I talked about today. Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure to smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs for more content just like this. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.